everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back again with another 12 by 12 layout process video for you guys. This one I did for a Festive Friday challenge. The prompt was Father's Day and or blue. So I used both. This wasn't taken on Father's Day, but it's a pic of my son and his dad. And yeah, it's just a very sweet photo. So I pulled that and I pulled this cut file that I had sitting just cut out in my stash for a while. I've had that one. I think it's a Paige Evans floral, but don't quote me on that one. I've also pulled out this Simple Stories Little Dude collection. Now, it's definitely not the sort of thing I wanted for this layout. I wanted it to be quite soft, but I know there's a paper in this package, and this is the paper that I thought would be a really nice background paper. It's a really soft blue, and it just has little sort of plus signs all over it, and it's a little bit faded out around the edges, and I really liked that. This is a baby layout, so I didn't want it to be super bright and colourful and sort of too masculine. So he was about 8 months old here, and we'd had a photo shoot at the park, and this was near the end, and he was starting to get tired, and oh, he's just so cute. His little chubby cheeks. So that's pretty much how I'm going to end up situating that cut file. I'm just going to trim my photo down a bit. Take off that sort of awkward shadow on the edge there. There we go. And yeah, I'm just going to sort of tuck my photo underneath the top of the cut file there and have it overlapping over the bottom. Backed my photo on a little bit of white cardstock, and now I'm going to cut out this card out of the 4x6 cut apart sheet. I don't know why, I think it just caught my eye, and I liked that it was mostly white, but there was a little bit of colour on there without it being sort of really in your face. And I thought it was sweet because it says Little Mr. Big Man, and I mean, my husband's a large man and my son's a little mister, so I just thought it was really sweet. And I've just tucked it underneath to the right of the photo there. Now I'm just going through some of my paper pads to find some soft colours for backing my cut file with. So I'm just going to snip this part off because it's going to be hidden by my photo, and I just wanted to use a leaf. I want to use as much of that cut file as possible. And now I'm just going to go ahead and back my cut file with these papers. They're just from the reject shop, the paper stacks. They're like $3 each. And I've just pulled out a blue, a little bit darker than my background paper, a soft purple, a soft green, and a soft pink. And I'm just going to go ahead and back all the flowers and the leaves. I just use a little bit of wet tacky glue on the back of my cut file. And then I take my little precision fussy cutting scissors and I go all the way around the edge and just trim off the excess. And I find this is the easiest way for me to back cut files. Some people struggle with this technique, but I fussy cut a lot. I enjoy doing it, so this is the way that I find the easiest and the most enjoyable to back cut files. There we go. So off camera I've done the rest. I really love how all these soft colours just, oh, I love it. I'm going to back my photo on some foam. This is just double-sided, not double-sided, single-sided adhesive foam from Spotlight. And yep, so this is another paper from those paper stacks, and I'm just going to pop that on the back of my photo. Just give another layer, and I'm using double-sided tape and wet glue here because it is on the foam, and the foam doesn't seem to hold the double-sided tape very well, so just use a little extra wet glue just for insurance. It's just a white tacky glue. A little layer of this just slightly darker pink. It's not quite coral, it's more a dusty pink, just a little bit darker than the one I've used to back the cut file with. And I'm just going to snip this leaf here so that I can tuck my photo underneath a bit further. There we go. And just have the leaf overlapping just slightly. And now what I'm doing is just taking a little bit of white acrylic paint, and I'm just going around and softening up the edges of the cut file, background paper rather. So it already had a bit of this sort of on the pre-printed pattern, so I just wanted to emphasize that a little bit. I just really wanted to soften up those edges. And so it's just a dry brush with a bit of white acrylic paint. There's no gesso in this background at all. I'm keeping it very light. I'm not using a lot of paint, so the paper doesn't crumple up too much. And you can see I'm just going in with my finger and just softening out the edges even further and blending those nicely so they fade into the background. And just a little bit around the top of my photo here just to sort of make it stand out even more off the background paper. Just blending out those edges nicely. There we go, and then I'm going to water that paint down a little and I'm going to do some splatters. So it can take a little while to get the right consistency. If it's too thick it won't splatter, and if it's too thin it's really opaque. So here I'm taking my Liquitex acrylic ink in silver. I don't usually use silver, I usually use gold, but I just thought the colours in this, yeah, I thought silver went a little bit better. And that there is the Kaiser Mist in turquoise, but I watered it down a lot. It is very dark blue, but if you water it down, it turns out really pretty. And my water still had a bit of that white acrylic paint in it, so that turned it sort of milky, a little bit opaque as well, which is really, really pretty. I'm really happy with how that turned out, and I'll definitely be doing that again. Okay, coming in with my foam here, and I've just trimmed down some foam squares really, really thin, and I'm going to go around and put little spots of foam all around the edge of my cut file. I want to glue that cut file directly onto the paper, and I just want the sort of edges to be picking up. And you can just sort of curl up the edge and ruffle up the edges, but I find that if I put some foam behind there, once I've had it in my album for a little while, it stays dimensional, whereas if I don't use the foam and I just curl it up, once it's been in my album for a while and sort of compressed with all the other layouts that I have in my albums, they can squash quite a bit. So it's just a bit of extra insurance. So I'm going ahead and gluing that main part of the cut file straight onto the background. And then all those little edges, you can see they lift up and create that beautiful shadow and dimension. Love me some dimension. So I'm happy with how that is all sitting. So I'm going to stick down my photo. And this cut file did a lot of the work for me. Once I've got all this stuck down and that journal card, there's really not a lot more to do. So I've tucked that in. I have these huge alphas. These are from the Reject Shop. They're massive glitter alphas. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to use them. So I'm just spelling out the shortest, really short word in the title, hugs, because they're so big you just can't use them for much. So short words. And these are the It's a Boy alphas, Thickers by American Crafts. Just a white with a thin line of blue. And these stickers are from Kaiser Craft, and I started using the mint turquoise sort of colour, and they just faded straight into the background. So I pulled out the white ones, and strangely enough they don't fade as much into the background. I don't know why. I mean, on camera they kind of do, but in real life they don't at all. So okay, that's my title. Love Dad Hugs. I love that. He does. He loves his dad. He's always loved his dad. So these little sprinkly bits, as Adele from Inky Quill likes to call them, they're just, I have a confetti heart punch. I punched a bunch of them out of glitter paper of different colours, so I'm just pulling out the silver ones. And now I've decided I'm going to beef up that cut file a bit. So I pulled out my Sizzix Big Shot, and I'm going to use some of these dies that I got from Kaiser Craft. I think they're actually Christmas dies, but they're just sort of evergreen branches, and I think there's a little pine cone and things like that in there. I'm just going to run this particular die through my die cutting machine quite a few times, just on plain white, and get a few of these branches out. There we go. So this did take me a while. I did most of it off camera. I did run this through quite a few times, just on some scrap cardstock pieces that I had. And I'm just going to sort of fill out that cut file a little bit. I'm just tucking these in all the way around wherever there's little gaps. And I like the white. It's nice and soft and just really nice for a little baby layout. And yes, I mean, he's my son, he's a boy. I have no problem using flowers or butterflies or pink or any of those things on boy layouts. Okay, so just a bit of wet glue. I'm just gluing down the ends of the stems. I'm leaving, not the ends, the sort of base of the stems. I'm leaving the top unglued so they fluff out nicely. And now I'm just pulling out some of the stickers from this collection, and I'm going to use some of the little phrase stickers. I've used a soft blue one there, a little bit of a darker turquoise. That one does move, I think. And then this little black and white one, I can't remember what they say and I can't read it on my screen unfortunately, but I'm sure you'll be able to see it. Some of these little heart stickers. I love that darker blue turquoise on that light blue background. And I think I've stuck down that silver heart as well. I like that little green heart, but it just stood out a bit too much. So yep, tucked it underneath there. So I've got 3 sort of clusters. And then I'm taking my white gel pen and I started doing little sketchy hearts, but you couldn't see them at all. So I pulled in my little blue one and I'm just going to put a few of these around my little clusters, around my title there and around my journal card cluster here. Okay. And I started doing my journaling here and it went really crooked and I looked at it there and went, oh gosh, that's really crooked. So I moved that turquoise phrase sticker up to cover that, and then I'm going to do my journaling underneath, and I've just put a bit of a darker blue down the bottom of that journal card. And yeah, that makes a nice little trio there of phrase stickers down the right side of my page. There's my journaling. I added that little puffy arrow. I just thought that spot was a bit blank, so I liked how it filled that in. And then I'm bringing in some bling, so some little clear crystals, because I used the silver ink on my background and those silver alphas, so I thought the little silver crystals went nicely. And these are just some even smaller ones, so I'm just doing a little cluster of 3 in a few places, and there we go, it's finished. I love how this turned out. It didn't go how I was expecting it to go. It went in a bit of a different direction, but I love how it turned out. I'm so happy with this one. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.